Hey, pop stars, welcome to this week's episode of the Popcorn Wind Down. I'm Eddie.
And I'm Tammy.
Thank you for joining us. This week's episode is brought to you by Whips Car Emporium. We carry any car you can imagine, whether you want the latest electric hybrid or gas, or you want a classic 65 Mustang, we've got all of it in mint condition. And if we don't have it, we can get it for you. Allow us to keep you riding in style. If you don't know what kind of car you want, we can find a perfect car for you with our personalized matching services. For more information, check us out at testdrive.whippit. Tammy, do you have a favorite car or a dream car? Are you a gearhead?
Um, I used to always, I've always wanted to own a BMW.
Oh, okay, okay. Convertible,
No, uh,
sedan,
X5,
SUV. Oh,
X5,
okay, okay,
BMW
okay,
X5.
okay. Yeah, I like the Beamer. I love cars. Love them. I like the Beamer. I guess if between a Mercedes and a Beamer, I would always go Beamer. Um, Convertible is always my choice of a car. Um, I don't know, even though where we live now is too fucking hot. But I still would love a convertible. My dream car is a 65 candy apple red Mustang convertible, obviously, with white leather interior. Rebuilt, tricked out, souped up with today's tech. That is my dream car. And other than that, the OG Bond Aston Martin. Those are like dream cars, classics. But yeah, just give me a good car, and I could probably see myself if I had the money to be like Jay Leno and just have a sick ass car collection. Yeah, pretty cool. All right. So this week we get behind the wheel with the latest installment of the Transformers series, Transformers: Rise of the Beast, starring Anthony Ramos as Noah Diaz, a down on his luck veteran trying to find a job to help take care of his family, and Dominique Fishback as Elena Wallace, a talented researcher at the Natural History Museum whose boss keeps trying to take credit for all of her work, just like those paper people sometimes. Noah and Elena's paths cross by pure circumstance as he resorts to less than legitimate ways to make money. His job goes sideways, and his job goes sideways, putting him on a crash course with the Autobots and the Maximals as they face off against Unicron and the Terracrons to save the Earth and Transformers: Rise of the Beast. So, Tammy, what did you think of the latest installment of Transformers? Was it a joyride or a hoopy that's ready for the junkyard?
Neither. Um,
A nice little, don't tell me it's a minivan.
it's not a minivan.
Oh,
It'd be
okay.
like no. I feel like it would be a Ford truck. Like Ford trucks are good, right?
Yeah, an F-150? Okay.
Yeah. Like people want it. It's enjoyable. Would I necessarily want a Ford truck? No, but I understand people who do.
Okay, okay.
It was good.
Um,
I I honestly I enjoyed it for what it was. I enjoyed it better than some of the previous entries into the series. I love Anthony. Oh my gosh, Anthony Diaz. Love him. Okay. Um, I'm a huge fan, and Dominique Fishback is doing her thing. All right, so I'm all for it. I didn't realize that the movie was set in the 90s. I didn't know that. I thought it was going to be of today. So then it made me a little. I was just like, how they're just taking a lot of liberties with the storyline of Optimus Prime and them being there and just kind of like how that goes. But overall, I did enjoy the movie, and of course, we'll get into the details of it. But overall, it was okay. It was okay. It was enjoyable.
yeah, it's better than I thought it was going to be. And I'm with you. I went in taking it for what it was worth, a good summer popcorn flick. Um, I also I love Ramos and Fishback, so anything It was directed by Stephen Caple
Oh
Jr.
wow.
So this movie is just full of it's blackity black. Okay, it was represented for the people of color. So you got a black director who is getting a summer blockbuster slot. You got uh, Anthony Ramos and Dominic Fishback, and what is let's just call it what it is. It's just a reboot of the series, and so I loved it, and I love that it's doing well for them all. And I'm with you. I did not know it was going to be the 90s going in. I didn't, and I guess because besides, honestly, I had lower expectations for this movie just because of some of the previous entries. And like you said, it could get kind of stale. And to me, the Transformers has not reached the legendary status of the Fast series where I you can throw something at the wall and I'm just gonna buy it because it's the Fast series, and that's like I think next to Bad Boys, that's like my popcorn series. That's just like when I want to watch something mindless and good, and that just kind of I'm willing to follow it just about everywhere anywhere. Obviously, they took a fucking Fiero in space, and I'm still hanging on. So that kind of tells you. The Transformers wasn't that series for me. So Fishback and Ramos, they are the ones that brought me back to the series. And other than that, I didn't know anything about it. But um, I'm gonna have to disagree with you a little bit for them taking the liberties. I think the one that started that with the liberties and kind of changing it up and freshening up was the Bumblebee. Did you see Bumblebee?
I did.
Okay, so Bumblebee was set in the 80s. So I was like, okay. But and so I was like, yeah, but I didn't know how I felt about the 90s, but it worked. I don't know if it was the soundtrack because I was in there, I was that person in the movie theater bopping my head, singing along, like, yeah. So, and I'm a sucker for a good soundtrack. So the soundtrack had, even if the movie was trash, the soundtrack was fire. So I was just like, yeah, yeah. But it was actually surprising um how much I enjoyed it, and it had a little bit more story. And I liked that. Of course, Optimus Prime is the leader of the Autobots. No matter what dimension, what series, what year you try to tell. But I love that we did not get another Bumblebee rehash. Of course, you cannot have a Transformers movie without Bumblebee, but I actually liked Mirage as star, the star car of this series. What about you?
Oh, I love Mirage.
Yeah. Mirage just had that swag. He had that flair. He had that 90s attitude. I think his car character matched up well with uh, with Anthony Ramos's character. God, try saying that. But with the Noah Diaz character, I think that they were the perfect human car couple, if that makes sense. But yeah, so um, what was something that you found interesting about the stories? Like the museum part? Like, hello? Are you still
I'm
there?
thinking. I'm thinking.
Oh, she's thinking.
I'm
You're gonna have to give me Jeopardy music. Sometimes I be thinking we disconnected or something.
thinking. No. Okay. I I'll jump off of what you said, Mirage.
Hmm.
I like the connection of Mirage and Noah, as well as bringing Noah's brother into it, right? Like Mirage making that promise, and then like actually staying connected and in communication with the little brother just to make sure to tell him like I'm keeping my promise. I'm keeping my promise. I really, really do like that. I think that the Maximals did not necessarily get the full shine that I felt that they deserved. And I'm just like, are they going to be bringing them back, or was this a one off like some of the other characters that they have brought in? I get that Optimus Prime and the Autobots are the stars; they're the Transformers. I definitely get that. But I would have liked to see more of the Maximals in the movie as I'm watching, rather than them being the background of the movie, is what I felt in a lot of ways. I love the museum parts. I am a museum buff. Made me excited. I will say it absolutely hurt my heart when they were destroying all the artifacts that people have spent years finding, and they just destroyed it all. And I was just like, oh my God, not the dinosaur. No. I was sitting there like cringing over the destruction that happened to that museum. Just cringing over all of those artifacts just being destroyed. I will say that's one thing, and that's just messing with my like museum lover heart on you'll never get to go to a museum and see any of that ever again in your life.
Yeah.
But 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 overall, I will say another thing that I like is first I like the fact that they didn't make it into a romance, right? The connection between Elena and Noah, and then it wasn't automatically a romance, but they still had so much chemistry and so much vibe that it still worked, right? Like it wasn't like I'm like, okay, they about to get together, get together. Like I was like, yo, they killing this together, like they doing their thing. And I really really like that it wasn't automatic romance thrown at us. And I think that's one thing is everybody in this series does not have the chemistry that Megan Fox and Shia LaBeouf had, and they had amazing chemistry, and it still makes me a little angry on how that was completely destroyed. The dynamic of that was just completely destroyed overall. But they still had chemistry, Noah and Elena, without like going it into the realm of romance. And so I like the human and Autobot connection. I think that was definitely brought back more than I've seen in some of the previous movies for the series. If that makes sense.
Yeah,
That makes sense, right? That makes sense. Yeah.
it does make sense. I
Okay.
think this movie it kind of took me back to the OG Transformers, the first one where
Yes.
it was more you have that human connection and it's actually telling a story. Um, and I agree with you. When I saw it was in the 90s, I was like, hmm. And the Maximals is how it started. I thought we were going to get more with the Maximals, and that was a little bit disappointing. Like you said, I understood. It's I understood that like you said, I understood the role of the Transformers. Optimus, like I said, I love Bumblebee, and Bumblebee had his moments, but he wasn't the star of this. Um,
Mhm.
and I was okay with that. I think I was also okay when Optimus took more of a backseat to the Maximals. Um, and so I hope if they do move forward, I hope, excuse me, that we can see more of the Maximals and their role in it. And it also kind of be going off that beat, and something you said earlier about them taking liberties with the time. I kind of liked it. Like I'm gonna be honest, Bumblebee the movie wasn't my favorite thing, and based on the list I'm gonna ask you about a little bit later. I'm like, am I gonna have to go back and rewatch it? But
No.
it wasn't my favorite. Um, and so it was just like, but it was set in the 80s. This one's set in the 90s, with the Maximals being of the future and the past, kind of being out of time. I think that would kind of serve them to kind of, especially if they continue to include the Maximals. Uh, then I think it would give them a little bit more leeway for playing with the time a little bit, and I think that would be interesting. Um, this was a great way, and if it wasn't meant to reboot the series, they're fucking stupid because I think this was a perfect time to do so. You're not still trying to hold on to characters of the past. You're not seeing Tyrese jump through here as him or Josh Dumel come in as uh army people, military people trying to save the day, just throwing them in there out of nowhere. As much as I love, oh God, I can't think of that dude's name, the Italian dude. You know what I'm talking about?
I know who you're talking about. I can't think
Yeah.
of his name either, but I know who you're talking about. Yes.
As much as I love him, You don't have to. They weren't trying to keep him in there to keep some connection to the other movies. The connection at this point, the Transformers. Like I said, we saw Bumblebee. You got Optimus Prime, so that's good enough. But because of who the Maximals are and their space and their position in the time space continuum, being of the past and the present, it's like I think that gives them a little bit more leeway and it gives them some room to play. So I'm okay with that, and I think that this was a good starting point. I agree with you. I actually wrote that too. Um, Anthony Ramos and Dominique Fishback had chemistry for days, and it wasn't necessarily romantic, but it left room for that to be a possibility. But you weren't looking for the romance, and um, someone at the end when we were seeing for the end credits, they were like, I didn't know Michael Bay produced this. And I'm like, why? Because it didn't have useless, gratuitous nudity in here. The woman, she wasn't basically dressed up as a helpless sex pot, you know? So
Basically.
I was like, and I love that. I loved her character. I loved that she was a strong, confident, smart woman of color. And that was one of the things that was I really loved about the movie is that it was the Transformers, but it was told through the lens of people of color. Finding the lost indigenous city, uh, her being smarter than her boss, and her boss trying to take all of her credit, her not shrieking, not having to play down her intelligence. She was the one who could read and transcribe the language. She figured out the maps. She was the one who ended up, finding the key in the lost city and finally getting credit for that. She was the one who was at the machine at the end to try to put the key in there and all of that kind of stuff. So she played her role. It's like she didn't have to sex pot herself up. She didn't have to be anything other than who she was. And if you want to write a strong heroine in an action movie, this is the way to do it. I'm not saying the other is bad. I'm not saying it's an either or proposition. You can be smart and sexy and all that, but too many times I think they made the trade off. And in this, you weren't worried about her trying to be sexy because she had been at work all day and she basically got kidnapped from her job because to go save the world. So it wasn't a time or a place for that to even come into it. So I didn't miss the romance because there wasn't a place for it. If that makes sense.
It does. It does. And
And
I agree.
so and I'm just saying that you don't uh, directors whoever there doesn't always have to be that trade-off. Oh, she can be super sexy but she's just there as eye candy, or she's going to be smart and dumpy or not really attractive or not recognize how attractive she is. It's not an either or, and I'm ready for them to stop writing women characters that way. So but yeah, I love that. So I loved her, and I loved his little brother Chris. Their relationship was so good, and his little brother was so cute. And shout out to Lauren. I can't say her full name. I just call her Lauren Velez. I know she has a different last name. It's hyphenated or whatever. But shout out to the New York Undercover days. That was my shit. Were you a New York Undercover fan?
Oh, yes, I
Oh,
was.
okay. I was about to say, if you sit here and tell me you did not like you New York Undercover, we're through.
What?
This is over. This is over.
Please, please. I was
I was
all
gonna
about that New York undercover.
I was gonna say no, we can't do this anymore. We've had differences of opinion, but that's the one that's gonna break us up. um, nah, but yeah, so shout out to seeing her. But yeah, it was really, really interesting. Um And I loved his BFF. I loved Reek, who's played by Houston rapper and artist Toby Nigwe. I don't know if I said his name correctly. Knowing me, I probably didn't, but I loved Reek. Reek was funny. The one who got him to go steal the cars, and the one who was like, "You just gotta breathe."
Oh yeah.
So, what else? I don't know. Was there anything else that particularly stood out to you, or anything that
So like I said, love Mirage. I thought that the enemy uh was good.
Unicron?
Like, I'm sorry?
Unicron?
Unicron. I thought the enemy was fine. I had no issues because sometimes I be like, okay, like the one from something fall. Oh my gosh, I can't think of the full name. The fallen one.
Mhm.
The like I felt that was a little stupid, right? But they did a better job of having an enemy that's gonna swallow the earth whole and everything like that. And so you gotta save the earth, you gotta save the earth, kind of thing. So I definitely liked that. Like I said, I would have loved to see, whose voice I recognized from the jump?
Yeah.
Michelle Yeoh.
I didn't quite.
Oh,
I recognized her voice. I'm like, I know that voice. I know that voice.
who is
And
that voice, right?
yeah, yeah, like I knew the voice, but I couldn't. I was having a brain fart. I couldn't place the name, and so usually during credits, you're waiting for the end credits, and you're just sitting there doing like whatever, twirling your thumbs. But I was paying attention because I'm like, and when I saw it, I was like, you idiot! I'm like, of course that's Michelle Yeoh. Like
Yeah.
I was just like, yeah,
She has become someone whose voice is distinct enough that I can tell when it's her. And I love that because it's not too many actors and actresses that have such a distinct voice that you can tell it's them compared to anyone else. But as soon as I heard her voice the first time, I was like, that's Michelle Yeoh. I was like, that's Michelle Yeoh. Like, that's definitely her. And then I got confirmation that it was her. But yeah, so I love that. Um, and like I said, I would have loved to see more of the Maximals. Like I would have loved to see. Now, granted, I didn't get the concept. Okay, couldn't wrap my mind around how the mammals came to be. Okay, the mammal bots, whatever you want to call them, the mammal bots. I still can't wrap my hand around that. How they came to be, but I'm just gonna accept the unthinkable and say that I definitely enjoyed them. I like the fact of when they went to it was Peru, right?
hmm
When they went to Peru and you had the tribe that already knew who they were, was protecting their secrets. And I said, because, that's one thing I like about like certain movies when they be like, the locals knew. Okay, y'all may not have known, but the locals knew.
hmm
And the locals have the culture and the heritage to be like, that ain't my business. Okay.
yeah,
Like I'm gonna protect you just like you can protect me because we can already see in society. I'm about to get deep. We can already see in society how society has completely destroyed and taken over our culture, our heritage, our past. And so we can fully understand, and they've come in, like the invaders have come in, and they've taken our resources. So we can fully understand you wanting to hide this, and we're okay with that, and we're fully for it, and I'm raising my children to do it generation after generation after generation. I just just kind of a history thing on that's what happens. And I just like when they kind of put that out there, because usually when you see movies like this, it's always an indigenous population that has known about it, has been informed, and still make sure to keep it a secret and to keep it under wraps for as long as they possibly can until they can't anymore, and willing to sacrifice themselves in order to protect a species that they know nothing about. So I just thought it was very good. I like the whole rolling around Peru, if that makes sense, driving and rolling around Peru. It was really, really nice. It kind of makes me, for the first time, actually interested in visiting. I've never had an interest in visiting South America, but definitely interested in visiting just to see the different I want to say landmarks, but they're not landmarks. What are they?
the cultures, the different ruins and remains.
Yes, but there's like a official word, but I can't think of it right now. But yeah, to kind of see, the basically like the culture and their past, and I want to say the architecture, but it's not necessarily architecture, but that kind of that, like what's been built before our times, basically. But I really do like that. Like I like the connection. I like that they implemented it in. I agree with you. I think it was amazing that Elena was the smart one in it. And I want people to remember, even though she was sold as a sex pot, Because I was a huge fan of Megan Fox's character in Transformers. Like, people always forget. I'm not saying you, but I'm just saying in general, they look at the fact of, like, yeah, she was a very sexy woman, but she was also a mechanic. Like,
Yeah, like
she was
mechanical
very
engineer
smart.
shit. Yeah.
Yeah, she was very smart. She knew how to fix cars. And that's always put to the sideline on because she was sold as just being a sex pod and being his sexy girlfriend. And I'm just like, no, she was right there with him, in a lot of ways, because he was the silly little, he was kind of like a sidekick character. And for her, she was sexy, but she had a brain, and she was very, very smart. So I like the fact of Elena's character was very smart, but don't sleep on Noah either, right? Because I do think I wish they had played up his military background a little bit more because
And
in
his street
certain
sense.
yeah, because in certain scenes, I was just like, there ain't no way that dude was in the military. Like in certain things that he was doing, I was just like, he was in the military? Because I just don't see it. So maybe they just need to mature his character a little bit more. I felt like I'm just like, how old is he supposed to be? I was assuming he's supposed to be in his late 20s. In his late 20s, he probably was in the military for a couple of years, probably signed up, right out of high school, if that. You got a couple years to really like formulate it, your skills and everything like that. And I thought in some ways they downplayed his skills, and you couldn't really see that. Even when they were talking about how he's a tech genius, basically he's supposed to be a tech genius, but he didn't really get to showcase that too much in throughout the whole entire movie. He really didn't get to showcase that he was a tech genius throughout the movie. So I think for a next one, if they are trying to reboot the series, that we'll see more of his skill set being shown, especially with the little spoiler that we got at the very end. You saw the spoiler, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
With
I'm
the
so
GI
excited
Joe
about that
cross.
spoiler. I'm all about that spoiler. But even with the spoiler at the very end, I'm hoping that they can showcase it more and bring Elena back, because if he gonna join, then you definitely need to bring her in there too, because she was rocking and rolling with him through and through, keeping up with him in some ways, being in front of him in the running around that they had to do. But I will say, as I talk about it more, there were some really, really good parts that can be broken down, and I would like to see developed more in future movies, hopefully, if they get them.
Yeah, and see, and I think like just because of the Maximals, their introduction, like I said, the time space continuum and where they are, where they lie in that, because it's like, because in the beginning you get the sense that hey, like you said, they were prehistoric, right? And going back to what you said with the ancient cultures, I think because their belief system, it wasn't like they were monotheistic and they just had one god and that
You're
was
right.
it.
You're right.
They
It was
had all
Holly.
these multi gods and they believed in different spirits and different things. So when they saw this, they probably thought of it as a god or something, or you know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
their mind was open to the concept, or more open to these things, um, and the protection of it. And like you said, they've seen what's happened as they came in, and as society has quote unquote evolved, not always for the better, and greed and all of that has come in, and so they understand and a lot of people think that some of these tribal societies are in the woods because they have to, they're there because they want to be. Some of these tribal societies, they stay where they are because they want to be close to the land that
That's their
um
culture, their heritage. It's like that.
yeah, and it doesn't mean that they don't need help or wouldn't welcome the right kind of help, but then as soon as people come in and they see what you have, their version of help is, ooh, how do I help myself to this money, so like you said, that's a whole different conversation for a whole different day. But and that's what I love that the people of Peru, the indigenous people, they were the protectors of it. I love that we got to see this lost empire, the idea of the lost empire. I'm with you. I would love to go to South America and see the Mayan ruins and the lost temples and all of that kind of
I'm gonna have
stuff.
to start learning some Spanish, Eddie.
Yeah, I was up there with my Korean, working on it slowly. But so I loved all that. I love that this movie was told through the lens of people of color, from the indigenous society, from the indigenous tribes, who were the protectors, to Elena and Anthony, and I want to call him by his name, Noah Diaz, their characters and all of that. I love that her dad, even though he was a cab driver his whole life, he was one of the smartest people that she knew, and he's the one who encouraged her and all of that kind of stuff. I loved at the end where she got credit for discovering the city, and she didn't need her trashy ass boss anymore. So just those things. But with the Maximals, what I was going to say is because we never got confirmation that it was the CIA. We just know that it was a government agency that deals with things that are out of this world. So we're going to call it the Hasbro version of the X Files, right? Um, that's what I'm saying. It's like
Wait, what?
anything could huh?
It's the GI Joes.
Yeah, but anything is possible with that. And so I love that we can hopefully maybe some kind of way get a crossover, because the first movie,
Doesn't that mean a crossover? Don't downplay my excitement now, Eddie.
I'm not. Everyone's excited about it, but
Because I'm about to say, wait, hold on, what you trying to say? Like, so we not getting the crossover that they showed me?
so the first movie was great, the one with Channing Tatum. The second one with The Rock, and not so much. But
That's because
you
they
know,
recasted everybody. That's what made it trash.
yeah. So I think that they, like I said, you could go anywhere with this story. You could do so much with it. You could stay in the 90s. You can go back to the past. You can go to the future. You can bring it to present day, and it will all make sense. Like it would all be believable. But if they stay in the 90s, that's cool too. And I'm with you. I do hope we get a little bit more of the development of Noah, and see him really put his tech skills to use. But I also think maybe a little bit of it was his confidence, because I love the way they played the character. He was a little bit unsure, came out of the military, didn't have the best recommendation. You get the feeling that he did some shit that barely was, just that he was out, but it was barely just above a dishonorable discharge, because he felt like he had to come home and help his brother. He also probably had a little bit of that Bronx hothead. Can't nobody tell me what to do in him. And so, and they were talking about his teamwork. So he learned how to take care of the team, and work with the team. One of the places where I saw his leadership come through is when he huddled them up and said, "This is what we're going to do." And he came up with the game plan for how they were going to attack the Unicron and Terracons and stop them from. So I'm with you. We got glimpses of it, but never enough. But I think also part of it was just a lack of confidence. That one point where he thought he was dead under Mirage, and he was just going to give up, and then his brother, and then Mirage, he was like, I can't fully transform, but and he kind of gave him the suit to protect him. So I love Mirage. Like I did. Mirage was a cool car. Um, so, but at the end, I was like, huh. Are you gonna leave him a rust bucket so people won't try to steal him? But and then of course it's Mirage, so he could actually probably fix himself or whatever. But it was really good. Um, so what are you rating? Oh, now rank the movies. Did you see the link I sent you about the movies?
I did.
Did you agree with that link?
I did not.
Which which one is your least favorite?
The one with Rosie.
The one, oh, where, so that would be Transformers 3, right? Megan was
Hold
only
on.
there for 2.
Let me bring the link up, because maybe I'm just being biased, because I really didn't like that one. I really didn't. Like I say it all the time. I just did not. But the one of the other one, like I will just say I don't agree with the ratings of them. Like they put the Revenge of the Fallen as the worst one. That's a
That's
lie.
that's number 2.
No, Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen is number 7.
Yeah. Oh no, I mean that's the second one in the series. My bad.
Yeah, that's the second one in the series. They voted it as the worst one. That's a lie.
That's a fucking lie.
That's an
Last night,
absolute lie.
the Mark Wahlberg one was the worst one.
Okay. Um, the last night, I'm gonna be honest, I don't even remember it. Okay, I don't remember the last night. Is that the Mark Wahlberg one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I was just like, so you telling me that one is better than the second one in the series? No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Like there's no way. Bumblebee is definitely not above the original.
No.
I don't agree with the whole entire list. Like they got Bumblebee as number one, number two being the original Transformers, number three being Age of Existence with the dinosaurs. Okay, number four being Dark of the Moon. The third one that everybody know I cannot stand. Okay, did not like. Okay, that's where like they had humans turning into robots and robots turning into humans and all that. It was bullshit. Okay, and then Rise of the Beast is number five, which I'll be honest, I probably ranked that at like one or two spots higher, right? I probably at least give it a four, put it in the fourth spot. But yeah, I just can't agree with the second one being number seven. Like, there's no way that Bumblebee is number one and Revenge of the Fallen is number seven. Like that. So no,
Yeah.
to answer your question, okay, I did not agree, and I will say probably my least favorite would probably be The Last Night or the one with the dinosaurs.
Yeah, I'm with you. I last night in the one with the dinosaurs, like after Megan Fox left the series, it kind I like Rosie. She's married to my main man, Jason Statham, Mr. Statham. Shout out, woohoo, Statham alert, Statham alert. But I I would agree. I would probably say one, two. I might do Rise of the Beast a little bit higher than you. I'd probably give Rise of the Beast a three. And after that, they just get redundant and stupid. It was like, okay, um, it was the Michael Bay blow up shit. Find a woman just to come in here and show her boobs and some short shorts or do something, and that's it. And so it was that Michael Bay formula. And so I can honestly say I didn't miss it in this one. You had the action, you had what you needed. It was really, really good. I appreciate it. And the more I talk about it, the more I like it. But I'm sticking to uh my original rating. So what would you rate this?
So I'm gonna rate Transformers Rise of the Beast, and I'm going to give it a 3.75. I did, like I said, and the crazy thing is, unlike you, I actually changed my ratings as I was talking about it. I realized overall I did enjoy it more, but I'm gonna give the credit to the two main, um, the lead characters, the
Hmm.
actors, who was there. So I'm gonna give the credit to Anthony Ramos and Dominique Fishback on why I really, really enjoyed it, because I agree with you when you said they brought back the chemistry that, I'm gonna be honest, I have not seen since Shia LaBeouf and Megan Fox.
Hmm.
And to know that it didn't turn romantic and they still had that chemistry was a great thing. Okay. That's good acting. Okay. And I'm also happy on the fact that Anthony Ramos is getting his due. But yeah, so 3.75, I really enjoyed it. I actually want to see a next one if they are actually looking into rebooting. I mean, it's Transformers. I'm gonna watch it whether it's trash or not anyway, because I've seen every single one of them. So it's gonna be like the Fast series. Like, I'm automatically going. It doesn't matter what it does or what it looks like. Because I saw the dinosaur one, but that
And
lets
you
you know.
look, and you
Uh,
kept going
yeah,
after the
and I
diet.
kept going.
Yeah,
So I'm here for
yeah.
it all. I'm here for it all. But yeah, so 3.75. I do want to see another one. I want them to keep it in the 90s because I don't want them to lose the characters and the amazing chemistry that those characters have. Let's see where you can go reboot the series and play a whole different storyline away from the Shia LaBeouf and everything like that. They can redo that whole thing, and I'm gonna be there for it. What about you, Eddie?
Yeah, I agree. Oh, when I say they can time travel, I mean take the characters with you. I think that would be part of the fun is looking at them out of time, out of space,
Mm-hmm.
just the different things. But um, okay, so I am rating it a four. And it's because of the little things. Originally, I had it at a 3.75. Like when I was writing this, I didn't change it from a four, but I was at a 3.75, and I thought about the little things. I thought about, like I said, um, the little things that we would ignore, the little things that people who don't have our experiences, the non-people of color, even some of the people of color may miss, but just being told through that lens and how he took care to go back to the tribal civilizations of Peru and they were the protectors and just all of those little things. Plus that, so it's that what gave it the boost from the 3.75 was that and the soundtrack. Like I an old school hip hop head. Like to me, nothing beats old school hip hop. Nothing. So that was just like, yeah, straight up.
Yo,
Huh?
sorry. Like, I'm
No,
so
go
sorry.
ahead.
I'm sorry. I apologize. Go ahead. Go ahead, Eddie. I apologize. I just saw something, but I apologize. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So the soundtrack was straight fire. Um, and that was it. So uh you might have to correct me on this because I know we made some changes to the calendar. So let's see if I get our next week's show right. Um, this that does it for this week's episode of the Popcorn Wind Down. Please be sure to listen, like, follow, and comment anywhere you listen to podcasts. You can also keep up to date on the latest in entertainment and pop culture news, as well as other amazing kernels of pop culture goodness. Um, at the popcornwinddown.com. That's it. That's the plug. Pop the pop pop pop. Thank you as always, and be sure to join us next week when we review Extraction 2. Is that what we decided on?
Yes, that is what we're going
Oh,
to be doing.
okay. When we review Extraction 2, starring Thor himself, aka Chris Hemsworth. Actually, until currently airing on Netflix. So until next time, I'm Eddie.
And I'm Amy. Bye.
Peace. What did you see? Oh, she didn't tell me.